We have more billions coming to Malawi every year, but the status of the poverty is is just high, right? It's going up and up. People are still struggling more than they used to, even with that support. And you ask questions, is this working? Obviously not. So we need an alternative economy.
We need to cancel receiving money, donor aid, because the whole we need to cancel donor aid. If you want to cancel anything, don't cancel people on the internet. Cancel donor aid and NGOs. And here's why. You will never, this mentality translates, this is some of the mentality that I had to break out of myself, right? As a Malawian, you look up to institutions and foreign people. You over-respect them because from the government level, you have been fed by someone else. So you see that a lot of us become so passive in our character, right? Because it's a yes, bwana mentality, right? You see, you feel inferior. Yeah, you feel so inferior. It's all the same. So why do you think, you look at our ministers, they go outside. I see them here. You see them, their demeanor is just not that. It's just, they just feel inferior when they're walking around because they look at everyone as their bosses because they're asking for help. Imagine what kind of person you would be if you didn't have your company and the podcast and your strategy for making money is asking for favors. Hey, man, can you help me? Another 20,000 today. Nobody would respect you, period.
Yeah.
So yeah, the university is the crypto university is all about changing the standard of education and what it should be like. I know what education should be like because I have gone through it myself. So well, basically, you have to think. If you have to think about it in a modular sense possible, how do we solve? Let's take Malawi as an example. How can we solve the education problem in Malawi? Well, somebody would say that let's build more schools, but that's absolutely wrong. You're in 2022, you're not supposed to build more blocks. You're supposed to just make the internet connection absolutely cheaper, almost zero cost. Everybody gets educated without even trying to force them into a classroom, right? So another problem also is that I think it's wrong for anyone right now to spend 4 years in university with the idea that eventually you're going to get a job. I don't agree with that. I think education should be in a format where you can access it whenever you want, just to learn enough of what you need, then you can move on with your life. And you should start earning within at least 2 months of learning stuff. For most people, right? It's different when, say, you're a rocket scientist or an engineer or whatever, right? So I built the Crypto University as a platform where anyone in the world can learn about the future, which is cryptocurrency and blockchain. Whether you have a job already, you can learn enough skill for you to get an upper hand in your employment. You can work in some of the largest institutions in the world that are being born today because they're looking for people to work, but nobody knows crypto. Right. And to also educate people on themselves, to equip themselves with financial knowledge, especially cryptocurrency knowledge, because it is the best performing asset in the last 12 years. It will be still in the next 10 or 20 years. So if you're not learning about it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Where do you learn it? You're not going to go to your typical university to learn crypto. You need Crypto University. So that's how it was created.
Man, this is huge, man. To have a university, right? It's huge, right?
We have 40,000 students worldwide. It's big. It's a multi-million dollar company, and so on and so forth. So for sure.
Wow. So now it's valued at $1 billion. The value has gone up.
No. We have more than 40,000 students. The valuation now is maybe 20 million or so.
$20 million. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I mean, in revenue alone, it's a multi-million dollar company as well. So,
wow.
But I've been building this for 4 years straight. So it's not like, out of the...
so it's not like you're going to wake up today and create a platform and then get that kind of attraction.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think some of these platforms work with the person as well, because I think the way you position yourself helps you or helps the brand to also pick up, because people see you living the crypto life and then they can believe that you can teach crypto. It's unlike a person who says, okay, fine, I'm going to teach you, let's say, how to, let's say, mine, for instance, but they don't live a mining life. And then people completely doubt their credibility.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at that. There's one where can you learn from a professor who is broke and then they never made any money, and then they're teaching you about business. They don't have any business themselves. It's hard, right, for most people. Though it shouldn't be. It shouldn't really be that way. It should just be about the information. So I mean, I don't really live any extravagant life or anything of sort. In fact,
I think you do. I think you do.
No,
You're traveling. You're traveling. I've seen you with some twins. I'm like, okay, great, and so forth. You're living the life.
Yeah, but look, that's just normal, in my world. But if you look at people who actually try to live the big life in crypto, they really live. Like, I'm working all the time, so I don't really have time for like all the other fancies. Yeah, But you should be able to learn definitely from people who can do what they're saying that they're doing. That's one. Yeah. You should also be able to learn from people who haven't even done what they're saying. Like, I learned maybe a lot from people who have failed to do something, because then it's kind of like inverse feedback, right? Which you can still use to implement it in something. So yeah.
So the crypto platform, you developed it because of your background in computer, or you got some developers
at the beginning? At the beginning, I had to write the whole website myself and create the content myself. But eventually now we have a team of maybe 25 people or so, so it's big.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Worldwide, in the US, Europe, Africa, Dubai, everywhere.
Dude, you're doing the most, right? You're doing the most, man. That's great. I heard that you're recruiting in Malawi right now.
Yeah.
I think my wife was telling me that, you're talking to Gray, right? Yeah, I saw that he's recruiting. I was like, hey, let me hear more. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to expand in different countries, or you just want to give back to Malawi?
Well, I'm already in multiple countries already, but, I have a farm in Malawi. I have the exchange. And I want to expand with some other business activities that I want to do. And I need competent people to run that office to full time. So I need to find really good. I already have a team there that runs my show, but I still need like extra people to be able to help to scale it up. But we're just like a future focused company, or in all my activities. And we just find people who are aligned with that kind of thinking. We do everything on ourselves. We never take a loan from a bank or from anyone. We self-fund and we survive because we're profitable in our businesses. We're not looking for any favors. And I need people who have that kind of mentality to conquer, to be able to be part of the team.
No, that's amazing, man. But it's always good to build stuff home at least, right? It's like, for me, as I said, in my question, it's more or less like you're giving back, in some way, in one or the other. Because here, I think it's a country where people look for employment. So if you provide it, you become a friend of the government in one or the other.
Well, that's actually incorrect. Well, it's effective, but it's wrong in a way that I don't owe Malawi anything, right? Just like you also don't owe it anything. You're a competent person who is productive. You contribute to the economy. You actually pay taxes to it. Right. So you don't owe any country anywhere. And just because you're also born there, it doesn't mean that you have to be part of every little element. Right. Again, you have to be where you're getting value. Right.
Yeah.
So if it's working for you to be in Malawi, you have to be there. If it's going to work for you to be in Panama, you have to be there. If you have to be in Uruguay, the whole world is yours. It just happened that you were born in a specific place.
In a specific place,
Because you see,
I hear you.
There's the natural way of looking at it. Then there's also another way of looking at it. It's like Malawi or any other country is a country. They're all countries that are captured by some sort of mafias who run the show. And you have now to subject yourself to that. Now it's a choice of are you going to do that, or maybe go somewhere else where you find that it's you get more value for your contribution to society, you know. So I don't do anything for the sake of giving back. I do it for the sake of growing the pie so that everybody can eat, right? So it's business at the end of the day. It has to be profitable. I'm not trying to become a friend of the government unless it makes sense, so, you know.
I hear you, man. I understand that kind of mentality. It's a different mentality because of your exposure, but also you understand that you present value. The government has to provide something. Sadly, it doesn't provide that. So at the end of the day, who owes who? Is it the government owes you or you owe the government?
And look,
it's a good conversation.
Their job is literally to create an environment that allow people like you to thrive, right? If you don't do it, you're gonna move to. If they don't do it, you're gonna move to the US. Who loses there? Because the smart person doesn't really lose, right? You're just gonna take podcast with Matnioni. It's now a US thing, and then it's generating income from there. So I think we have to be more realistic in how we look at value these days. You know.
I'm telling you, that's the truth of the matter. I'll tell you that I also have a startup. I haven't been talking about it in a while, but I have a startup that I registered in the US under the Delaware kind of thing that happens aside. So I also understand the challenges that are here. Sometimes they push you to start pushing in a different direction just because you want to explore other markets. Because here, if you talk of, for instance, investors, someone, can you invest in my business? Everyone is trying to buy your business, not to invest in it. They don't understand the whole concept of investing now, and then you're going to get money later on, and then understanding that, okay, I will have a percentage, and that percentage means ABCD. So it's a different conversation when you are looking at it from the perspective, like the way you have and how you are valuing the company. So it's one of those things.
It depends on how do you think those people made that money that you're asking them to invest?
Obviously, they are tender entrepreneurs. Malawi is a tender entrepreneur country. It's basically, they're supposed to buy some clothes maybe for the military, or maybe they wanted to provide meals for the hospitals, and then somebody got it. It's one of those things.
Yeah, so, you know, if somebody earned money in that sense, they just don't really understand how money works, you know? It's almost like if you take a mansion and you take someone from the village, you put them in the mansion. Trust me, in 2 years, that mansion is going to be super fucked up because they don't know how many times they need to clean the pool. They don't really know how to check for all the lights in the house, how the sewer system have to be refreshed, how to change everything, right? They're just going to be there and stay, normally as how they live in the village. So it's almost, you take somebody who didn't create any value to make money. They just don't understand the process. So you cannot expect them to understand how equity investment work, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. But let's talk about the Buy Bitcoin Malawi, because I think that's your exchange in Malawi, right?
Yeah, it's called Kodo now, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, tell me more about it. It's Kodo right now.
Yeah, so it's just the only way you can pretty much buy the first cryptocurrency exchange in Malawi. It's how people could buy cryptocurrency for the last few years. You know, people were hearing about Bitcoin, but they didn't know where to buy it. And then we had so many people bought from us, and some of them made millions as well because they bought cryptocurrency early before the pump, and then the bull market happens. And also, if you want to sell your crypto into cash, you also have a solution to do that. And we built the application. Everything was working, was happy. The only flaw was that the banks, they don't have any APIs. Other problems. And they couldn't understand what we're doing. And then add on top of that, you have the exchange controls because Malawi is low on liquidity of US dollars. So you will sell your Bitcoin in the country, but now to take your money out to buy again, you just couldn't do it. So we ended up taking a lot of losses also because of our money was stuck in the Malawian kwacha, and then you know what happens to it. So, but it's still there. We still help. You know, we're still helping. You know, I think cryptocurrency, to me, this is the only philanthropic project that I have, is making cryptocurrency accessible to everybody, because once it is, we all now can change our lives in the way we see fit. Basically, that's it. It is the passport of money. Once you have crypto, you're not really subject to all the exchange controls anymore. You don't care about the US dollar being rare because you have crypto. You just jump on a plane or grab a bus, you go to the next country where you need to do business, you do it, you move on with your life. So I see cryptocurrency as that kind of tool. That's why I created the exchange.
I'm happy that you're one of the frustrated people with the system here, because I know people who have tried to develop so many systems, but because of the banking system, specifically if you want to transact, right, there's so many regulations and you can't even move high volumes in Malawi. It has to be very basic amount of money that has to pass through. And this.
Let me tell you a funny story about. Let me tell you a funny story about that. When I go to the bank, they always ask me for things like, "Oh, why are you withdrawing this? Why are you trying to send this money?" If I have a card, I think I have a card with one of the banks there. So I have to explain whether I'm spending it on school fees or some of the very, very basic things. I'm like, bro, I'm paying for a hotel. They're like, no, you cannot pay for a hotel $700. I'm like, no, I'm spending $700 a day on a hotel. And if you have my money as a bank, you need to allow me to do that. But, they say, no, we cannot support 700 spending. They say I need to spend like 3,000 a month or something. I'm like, what? It's like
a month.
That's just crazy, bro. So it is very unfortunate. So that's also another thing that people need to understand with crypto. If you have 1 billion kwacha, it's $1 million now. It's not that much, but if you can't take that money out of the country of Malawi. It's only money when you're within, right? So you have to be clever with it. To be like, okay, if you are accumulating as much local money as possible, do you think that money is really going to be worth it if you take it outside? No.
And that's true. I need us to echo that, because that's the truth. If you have, let's say, $1 billion in Malawi,
for $1 billion, why would you be doing with $1 billion? That's even too much.
$1 billion, $1 billion kwacha, right? Which is $1 million US dollar.
Yeah.
You cannot move it out. You're gonna face a lot of challenges. It's your money, but you can do it,
bro. Try and move $100,000 in Malawi. You know the deal. You have to get approval from the Reserve Bank. So basically, if you have all your money in Malawi kwacha, you're basically not rich in a way, in the word, in the grand sense of things. Because even if you say I want to buy a big building in Dubai worth $10 million. Well, but you have all Malawi kwacha over there. You have 10 billion kwacha. It means you just cannot do it. There's no way. There's no technically you just cannot do it. Period. There's no way to do it, because if the country pays that money, then they run bankrupt of foreign reserves, right?
But that's a reality. The president was worrying about the same because we don't have fuel in the meantime, and I'm going to ask you those questions later on. And then he's saying that we don't have forex for us to buy, and then we are going to the banks, so we have secured 28 million from the bank. We're expecting this 50 million from the bank. I'm like, okay, they are securing from the banks. It means they don't have even USD. I'm like, okay, so what country are we having? So what if you want to invest somewhere? Like, where are you going to get your USD now?
Bro, I'm telling you, it's a big problem, but it stems from one fundamental problem. All the economics, right? So you see everybody, they get it. Even I was in Uganda, like I told you, everybody is super excited about finding gold, and all these African countries, the narrative is all about natural resources, right? Natural resources, and then they make money. But the most important resource in the world, man, is human capital. That's it, period. If you want to increase foreign reserves in Malawi, you have to get more people to work outside while they're still in Malawi, online jobs and all that. That is already a market that can bring in a lot of money a year. But you see, you have foreign reserve problems, and then the internet is expensive. People cannot work online, which means they cannot make US dollars for themselves. And that's where you end up in this situation, because all the reserves are only coming from traditional ways of doing business, which is a slow way to do things, right? You look at India, look at how much US dollars they get from the Indians working online, like, doing gigs.
Oh my God, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. You don't have to be a genius to figure it out, but like, we have all our governments focused on old economics. They still want to buy maize here and sell it there. When you have millions of people who are educated, smart, hardworking, they just need to be unlocked to be in a global environment where they can contribute and make money.
That's the situation. Malawi and most of the countries, we need to export our labor force, right?
Virtually. Yeah, virtually. It's cheaper. All you need is the internet connection for people. That's all. right? It will solve a lot of problems because all of them, they'll get the, whether it's a PayPal account or whatever, all that money is going to be wiring through to the Reserve Bank anyway, right? That's what we need.
Yeah.
Right? There we go.